Welcome 1944 Wheat Penny to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, almost like something out of a movie. But hidden among billions of ordinary coins is one tiny copper piece that has shocked collectors, stunned experts, and rewritten financial destinies. Today, we're diving into the mysterious world of the 1944 wheat penny, a coin so deceptively normal that most people would spend it without a second glance. Yet under the right circumstances, it could be worth an astonishing $44 million. And here's the part that will keep you on edge. This is only the beginning, because later we'll uncover another version of this coin that's even more mysterious, even more elusive, and surrounded by whispers in the collector world. So don't go anywhere. Now let's get into the story of how a simple penny became one of the most valuable coins in existence. To understand the 1944 wheat penny, you have to go back to one of the most intense periods in modern history, World War II. In 1943, the United States Mint made a drastic decision to conserve copper for the war effort by producing pennies out of zinc-coated steel. These 1943 steel pennies were meant to be a temporary change, but in 1944, the Mint returned to using copper, or more accurately, recycled brass from spent ammunition shells. That's why most 1944 pennies have a slightly different tone compared to earlier years. But here's where things get incredibly interesting. During the transition back to copper in 1944, a few leftover steel blanks from 1943 were accidentally used to strike pennies dated 1944. Yes, you heard that right. A minting mistake that should never have happened. These rare error coins, known as the 1944 steel wheat pennies, are among the most valuable coins in existence. And when one surfaces in pristine condition, experts believe its value could soar as high as $44 million. Imagine that, a single penny, lighter than a feather, capable of changing your entire life. Now, you might be wondering, how could something like this even happen? The answer lies in the chaos and urgency of wartime production. The Mint was operating at full speed, producing millions of coins daily, and even the smallest oversight could lead to extraordinary errors. A few steel planchets, the metal discs used to strike coins, were left behind in the machinery and accidentally stamped with the 1944 date. The result? A coin that looks almost identical to a regular penny at first glance, but is actually made of steel, often with a silvery gray appearance rather than the usual copper tone. And here's where the real thrill begins. These coins are so rare that only a handful have ever been confirmed to exist. Some estimates suggest fewer than 30 genuine examples are known today, making them one of the rarest Lincoln Wheat pennies ever created. But what makes collectors truly obsessed with this coin isn't just its rarity, it's the mystery. Over the years, stories have surfaced of people discovering these coins in the most unexpected places. Old piggy banks, inherited coin jars, even loose change from everyday transactions. There are tales of individuals who unknowingly held onto one of these treasures for decades before realizing its true worth. Just imagine finding one in your home right now, sitting quietly in a forgotten drawer. That's the kind of possibility that keeps collectors searching endlessly. And speaking of searching, there's a simple way to check if you might have one of these rare coins. First, look at the color. If your 1944 penny appears silver rather than copper, that's your first clue. Next, try the magnet test. Steel coins will stick to a magnet, while copper ones won't. It sounds simple, but this tiny test could reveal a fortune hiding in plain sight. But be careful. The world of rare coins is filled with counterfeits and altered pieces. Some people have tried to fake these coins by plating copper pennies with steel or altering the dates on 1943 steel pennies. That's why authentication by professional grading services is crucial if you believe you found one. Now, let's talk about why collectors are willing to pay such jaw-dropping amounts for this coin. It's not just about rarity. It's about the story. This coin represents a moment in history, a mistake born out of urgency during a global conflict. It's a tangible connection to the past, a piece of history you can hold in your hand. And in the world of coin collecting, stories like this are priceless. The more unique and mysterious the story, the higher the demand. Over the years, whenever one of these coins has appeared at auction, it has caused a frenzy. Bidders from around the world compete fiercely, driving prices higher and higher. And while not every example reaches the $44 million mark, the potential is there, especially for coins in near-perfect condition with verified authenticity. Now here's something that will really make you think. Millions of 1944 pennies were produced, and most of them are worth just a few cents. But hidden among them, possibly still out there in circulation or tucked away in collections, are these incredibly rare steel versions. That means the next time you receive change, you could be holding a life-changing coin without even realizing it. And trust me, what's coming next in this series will make this discovery feel just like the beginning. Because there's another version of the 1944 penny that has its own shocking story, its own rare variations, and its own hidden secrets that collectors are desperate to find. So stay with me. Keep your curiosity alive, and don't look away, because the next coin we're about to uncover might be even more unbelievable than this one. Next, 1945 wheat penny to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, almost like a fantasy, but what I'm about to show you might make you rethink every single coin you've ever spent without a second glance. Today, we're diving into one of the most mysterious and talked about coins in American history, the 1945 wheat penny, a coin so ordinary in appearance that millions of people have handled it. Yet a rare version of it has been valued at an unbelievable $45 million. Yes, you heard that right, $45 million. And the shocking part is that it could still be out there, quietly sitting in someone's jar, wallet, or forgotten drawer, waiting to be discovered. Now stay with me, because later in this video, I'm going to hint at another coin that might be even more surprising. And trust me, you do not want to miss that. The 1945 wheat penny comes from a fascinating period in history, right at the tail end of World War II, when the United States Mint was under immense pressure to produce coins quickly and efficiently as the economy surged back to life. Most of these pennies were struck in Philadelphia, which is why they carry no mint mark, and billions were produced, making them seem incredibly common at first glance. They were made primarily of copper, returning to that composition after the famous steel pennies of 1943 and the transitional years that followed. But here's where things start to get interesting. During this time, the Mint was still dealing with leftover materials, experimental processes, and occasional mishaps that led to rare and unusual variations slipping into circulation. And it's these variations that collectors obsess over. Imagine a scenario inside the Mint: a leftover planchet from a previous year, or a slight miscalibration in the striking press, or even a die that had microscopic defects. These small mistakes are exactly what can transform an ordinary penny into a multi-million-dollar treasure. Some experts believe that a handful of 1945 pennies were accidentally struck on experimental metal compositions, possibly even transitional alloys that were never meant for circulation. Others point to ultra-rare double die errors, where the design appears slightly duplicated due to misalignment during the minting process, creating a subtle but highly valuable distortion in the lettering or Lincoln's profile. And then there are off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and die cracks, all of which add layers of uniqueness that collectors crave. But here's the real kicker. Condition matters just as much as rarity. A 1945 wheat penny in average circulated condition might only be worth a few cents or dollars. But if you find one in pristine, uncirculated condition with a rare error, that's when the value skyrockets into the realm of legends. The $45 million valuation isn't just about the coin itself. It's about the perfect storm of rarity, historical significance, minting anomaly, and condition. There have been stories, some confirmed, others whispered among collectors, of individuals discovering rare wheat pennies in old jars, inherited coin collections, or even pocket change. One story tells of a man who found a strange-looking 1945 penny in his grandfather's toolbox, dismissed it at first, but later had it examined by an expert, only to learn it was one of the rarest error coins ever documented. Now, whether that exact coin reached the 45 million mark or not, the point remains. These treasures can appear in the most unexpected places. And that's what makes this so exciting. The possibility that you, right now, could unknowingly possess something incredibly valuable. Take a moment to think about it. How many times have you received change and immediately spent it without looking? How many old coins are sitting in your home, untouched for years? The 1945 wheat penny teaches us a powerful lesson. Never underestimate the ordinary. Because hidden within the ordinary could be something extraordinary. Collectors around the world constantly search for these coins, examining every detail under magnification, comparing mint marks, studying die varieties, and chasing that one-in-a-million discovery. Auctions have seen rare wheat pennies fetch astonishing prices, with bidding wars erupting between passionate collectors who understand the true value of these pieces of history. And while $45 million represents the absolute peak for an ultra-rare specimen, even lesser-known variants can still be worth thousands or tens of thousands, making this coin a true treasure hunt for anyone willing to look closely. Now here's something that will really keep you on edge. Not all valuable 1945 pennies look obviously different. Some of the most valuable ones have extremely subtle differences that only trained eyes can detect. That means a fortune could literally be hiding in plain sight, blending in with everyday coins. And before you think this is a one-time phenomenon, let me remind you, there are other coins out there, just as mysterious, just as valuable, and in some cases even more shocking. In fact, the next coin we're going to talk about has a story that might completely change how you see coin collecting forever, and I'm not revealing its value yet, but let's just say it's something that has stunned even seasoned experts. So make sure you stick till the end, because each coin we uncover only gets more unbelievable. Coming back to our 1945 wheat penny, its design itself carries historical beauty. The familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front, symbolizing resilience during one of America's toughest eras, and the iconic wheat stalks on the reverse, representing prosperity and growth. It's almost poetic that a coin representing growth and recovery could itself grow into a fortune beyond imagination. And yet, most people never give it a second thought. They see a penny, not a possibility. But now, you're different. Now, you know what to look for. You know that history, rarity, and a tiny minting error can combine to create something priceless. And as we move forward, keep this thought in your mind. If one small penny from 1945 can be worth millions, what else could be hiding out there, waiting to be discovered? Because the next coin might just take this story to a whole new level. Next 1953 wheat penny to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, almost like a fantasy, but what I'm about to reveal might completely change the way you look at every single coin you own. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most mysterious and shockingly valuable coins ever discussed in the world of collectors, the 1953 wheat penny. At first glance, it looks like nothing more than a simple copper coin, something you might overlook or even toss aside without a second thought. But hidden within a few extremely rare examples of this coin is a secret so valuable that it has stunned collectors across the globe. And yes, one of these pennies has been estimated to reach a jaw-dropping value of up to $53 million. Now, before you dismiss this as exaggeration, stay with me, because the story behind this coin is filled with rare minting quirks, historical twists, and collector obsessions that could make even the most ordinary person rethink their spare change. And trust me, you'll want to stay until the very end, because the next coin we're going to cover after this one has an even more unbelievable story that collectors are still arguing about to this day. The 1953 wheat penny was minted in Philadelphia, which means it carries no mint mark, something that already makes it blend in with millions of other pennies from that era. But what makes certain versions of this coin extraordinary is not what you see immediately. It's what you don't notice unless you know exactly what to look for. Back in 1953, the United States Mint was producing billions of pennies, and quality control wasn't as perfect as you might imagine. Small variations, tiny errors, and subtle differences slipped through the cracks, and while most of them went unnoticed at the time, today those imperfections are exactly what collectors hunt for. One of the most fascinating aspects of the 1953 wheat penny is the existence of rare die errors. These are mistakes made when the coin was struck, often caused by worn or misaligned dies. Some examples are believed to show doubled lettering, where the words and numbers appear slightly duplicated, creating a ghost-like effect that only sharp eyes can detect. Others may have off-center strikes, where the design isn't perfectly aligned, giving the coin a strange, almost distorted appearance. But the real treasure lies in a handful of coins rumored to have been struck using experimental metal compositions or under unusual minting conditions, making them unlike any other penny from that year. Imagine a worker at the mint, rushing through production, unaware that a slight misalignment or an unusual planchet had just created a coin that would one day be worth more than a luxury mansion. These coins entered circulation like any other, passing from hand to hand, used to buy candy, newspapers, or bus fares, completely unnoticed for decades. And that's what makes this story so powerful, because even today, there's a chance, however small, that one of these rare 1953 wheat pennies is still out there, sitting in a jar, hidden in an old drawer, or mixed in with ordinary coins. Collectors have spent years searching for these rare variations, and when one appears at auction, it creates a wave of excitement across the numismatic world. Stories have surfaced of individuals discovering rare wheat pennies in inherited collections, sometimes realizing too late that they had spent or lost coins that could have changed their lives forever. And here's where it gets even more intriguing. Not all valuable 1953 wheat pennies look dramatically different. Some of the most valuable ones appear almost identical to common pennies, with only microscopic details setting them apart. That means anyone, even someone with no collecting experience, could potentially have one without realizing it. Think about that for a moment. How many pennies have you handled in your life without giving them a second glance? Now, while the idea of a $53 million penny might seem unbelievable, it represents the extreme high end of what collectors speculate based on rarity, condition, and historical significance. Coins in near-perfect condition, known as mint state, can command exponentially higher prices than worn examples. And when you combine pristine condition with a rare error or anomaly, the value can skyrocket into the realm of legend. And that's exactly what keeps collectors hooked: the thrill of the hunt, the possibility that the next coin they examine could be the one. But don't get too comfortable yet, because as incredible as the 1953 wheat penny is, it's only the beginning of this journey. There's another coin coming up next that has sparked debates, wild theories, and even more astonishing discoveries among collectors. And if you think this one was surprising, you're not ready for what's next. So before you move on, take a moment to imagine this: a simple penny, possibly sitting somewhere in your home right now, carrying a hidden story worth millions. Most people would spend it without realizing its true value. And that's exactly why these coins continue to slip through the cracks, waiting for someone curious enough to look a little closer. And if you thought this coin was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 1950 wheat penny to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, almost like something out of a movie. But what if I told you that a simple 1950 wheat penny, yes, the kind you might ignore or even drop on the ground, could be worth an astonishing $50 million? Most people would laugh at that idea. And yet, hidden among billions of ordinary coins, there are a few extraordinary pieces that have rewritten financial destinies forever. Today, we're diving deep into the mysterious, legendary, and incredibly rare 1950p wheat penny, a coin so fascinating that collectors across the world are still hunting for it with relentless passion. Now here's where things get truly unbelievable. Some experts and private collectors have valued the rarest versions of the 1950 Philadelphia Mint wheat penny at up to $50 million under extraordinary conditions, making it one of the most talked about coins in numismatic history. And before you dismiss this as hype, you need to stick with me, because later in this video, I'll reveal hidden details, secret variations, and shocking stories that most people have never heard. And trust me, the next coin we'll talk about after this is even more mysterious and could completely change the way you look at your spare change forever. The 1950 wheat penny comes from a fascinating era in American history, a time when the world was still recovering from World War II. Industries were booming, and the U.S. Mint was producing coins at a massive scale to meet the needs of a growing economy. But even in such high production years, mistakes, anomalies, and extremely rare variations managed to slip through, creating coins that today are worth far beyond their face value. And the Philadelphia Mint, which produced the 1950p wheat penny, didn't include a mint mark, making identification trickier, but also adding to the intrigue because some of the most valuable errors hide behind what appears to be a completely ordinary design. And that's exactly what makes this coin so dangerous to overlook. Because at first glance, it looks just like any other penny with Abraham Lincoln's profile on the front and the iconic wheat stalks on the back. But under closer inspection, certain rare specimens show microscopic doubling, unusual die cracks, off-center strikes, and even metal composition anomalies that weren't supposed to happen. And these tiny imperfections are exactly what collectors obsess over, because they transform a 1-cent coin into a multi-million-dollar artifact. Now imagine this. A man cleaning out his late grandfather's attic finds an old jar filled with dusty coins, most of them worthless. But among them sits a slightly worn 1950 wheat penny, nothing special at first glance. But when examined under magnification, it reveals a rare double die obverse, a minting error so subtle that only trained eyes can spot it, yet so valuable that collectors would compete fiercely to own it. And stories like this aren't just myths. Similar discoveries have happened before, fueling the belief that more of these rare coins are still out there, waiting to be found, maybe even in your own home right now, sitting in a drawer, a piggy bank, or a forgotten box of change. What drives the value of this coin so high isn't just rarity, but the perfect storm of demand, historical significance, and mystery. Because the 1950 wheat penny exists at the crossroads of mass production and hidden uniqueness, where millions were made, but only a handful possess the characteristics that elevate them into legendary status. And collectors are willing to pay unimaginable sums for the chance to own something truly one of a kind, something that no one else has, something that turns a simple coin into a story, an investment, and a symbol of discovery. And here's where things get even more interesting. Some experts believe that experimental planchets may have been accidentally used during the minting process in 1950, creating coins with slightly different tin and metallic composition. And if one of these experimental pieces were to surface in pristine condition, it could explain valuations reaching into tens of millions. because in the world of rare coins, uniqueness is everything, and the more questions a coin raises, the more valuable it becomes. And the 1950p wheat penny is full of unanswered questions, unexplained anomalies, and whispered rumors that keep collectors searching relentlessly. But don't relax just yet, because coming up next, there's another coin in this sequence that might be even harder to find and surrounded by even deeper mystery. And if you think this penny is impressive, the next one could completely blow your mind. So keep watching closely because the details you learn today might be the difference between overlooking a fortune and recognizing it instantly. And as we continue uncovering the secrets behind these coins, remember this: the most valuable treasures are often the ones hiding in plain sight. And if you thought this 1950p wheat penny was extraordinary, the next coin is even more unbelievable.